perspective, but they cover global events.
All right, show's running.
Oh, that's different. I actually like that.
The E2IP is getting ready.
Yeah.
So that's important because, like,
The Rainer Brothers.
it's really important to know what your neighbors, like, know how your neighbors think about you, especially if they're writing it down and publishing it.
Complete rabbit trail.
Oh shit!
And
I made
yeah,
noise again.
so I don't know if you guys know what the big news is. There's very serious talk right now about Canada joining
Complete
the
rabbit
EU.
trail. I was watching.
EU.
Your neighbors, like, know how.
Because we technically share a border with Sweden because there's one island with the two of us have been arguing over for years.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. You guys are arguing over it.
Yeah, we
You
eventually
wanna
came to
switch
terms
to
where we
the
split the
euro?
island in half instead of actually fighting the war the way we were, where the last group either leaves a bottle of Canadian whiskey or they leave a bottle of the Swedish schnapps.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know. I thought that was hilarious and very Canadian when I read that story years ago. I think it was an animal.
Dude. To me, I feel like that is the epitome of modern warfare. Like, it should be just a competition of product. Here's the best thing we have to offer to the next guy that comes here to replace it with their best thing.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
fun. And that's fair. And, like, also,
And it's hilarious too.
kids had to die.
Well, it's hilarious too because like you get there and you're like, ah, damn Canadians, how they sneak back before we did.
But dude, honestly, it's like, to me, any border dispute to a point is like it's a king's dispute. We're either fighting for the king or we are the king. So like I do get farmers being like, no, this is my land. I'm gonna guard my border. Like, yeah, absolute tyranny on your property is fine. That's what property ownership is for. Property rights give you that authority, but at the same time, like enforcing Canada's right to Swedish territory or Sweden's right to Canadian territory that has no livable standing. Like, that's why the only thing that lives there is somebody's whiskey or schnapps until they trade.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Like, that is fighting the king's fight, and which king are you fighting for? And I think, like, that's something a lot of people don't notice these days. Like, nations are imaginary. We have to remind ourselves of that. Like, that's one of the few benefits of switching to nation states and not kingdoms. Is like, oh yeah, that's right. We are imaginary. We don't have to rep our team so hard we're sore winners. We can be.
Morality. Tonight, we're going to discuss a UFO conspiracy thriller in a night of bidding war in Hollywood. 80s Shogun miniseries director calls the FX show not as entertaining. And Captain America Brave New World on its way to #1, but technically 2 worldwide. All this now on The Thing. And sorry for that terrible intro, but welcome once again to the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast. I am Peter York, joined as always by Mr. Corione, Witch in Residence, and Mr. Pollo Zapatos, suggestive as always. And I'm kind of just sitting here, you know, mostly cam off because I forgot my sunglasses for the show. And I gotta do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, so.
His eyes are very sensitive. So.
Oh yeah, super sensitive actually, but hey,
Dude, you just gotta buy a pair of these yellow tints. I've been wearing them for everyday glasses, and my headaches have gone to like 30%. It's so nice.
Yeah, I used to wear the red tinted for the same reason.
Oh, dude, the yellow tint, like, I mean, like, I wear it in the sunlight, and it gives the same consistent, like, UV relief without ever, like, I have a problem with the shade walking into the daylight and then walking into work and being like, I can't see anything for 45 seconds. So I really like these where it's like, no, it's actually just enough to help with driving. Like now, if I use the sunshade, I don't have sun blindness. It's really nice.
Cool.
UV yellow is surprisingly worth it. And they're like $15 at your local Best Buy.
Nice. So PD, shall we get down to business?
Yeah, we were talking about major conspiracy theories. Wait, this is Tuesday.
Well, as it turns out, Joseph Kosinski, the guy who did Top Gun Maverick, F1, and The Order for Netflix, are doing a UFO conspiracy thriller movie. And as it turns out, a bidding war has broken out over who's going to get to make this movie. So I suspect this is going to be... Well, I suspect that at the very least going to be a big summer blockbuster when it hits. Like the likes of which we haven't seen in a while.
I'm here for it in terms of good, but like think back to Top Gun Maverick. Who was the enemy? Like, what writer writes an ominous supervillain just to make sure they can maximize sales? That's, I don't know.
Hey, man.
But
the Maverick series never only had generic bad guy, right? Like the bad guy might as well be Cobra, right? Like it's
right, but that's what I mean is like say that. Define a bad guy. Don't just say it's an ominous threat that we need to constantly be having these jets remade and ready to prepare. Like that's like military industrial complex selling. Like it's a sales pitch. Whereas like for this UFO conspiracy, it's like there's all this stuff and talk about disclosure lately. And it's like, what better way to just hard roll any progress than to make a very compelling, it's all a scam. Like,
well, that's actually kind of interesting because Kosinski and Bruckheimer both actually say in the article how the latest stuff on disclosure inspired them to write this.
Again, like,
right? So
to me, it's like the Hollywood elite, they're the most like contrived right now. And one of the things that I really see this film doing, and this is why I say like CIA, USAID funded, is in the sense that like it glorifies the need to to hold this information back. Like this guy's going to stumble across secret tech, and that tech is going to actually be 100% logically built and human, but DARPA and secret. And because he's like, I have to get this to the world, like it's going to make him look like a really smart fool. And that's what I mean by like casting a dark shadow over the modern disclosure.
Right.
Like,
so what exactly is the film's plot?
Than to make it look so good that he looks
supposedly
like
the film is going to be, it's being described as All the President's Men, but with UFOs. So this is going to be kind of like a in the White House dealing with disclosure, conspiracies, thriller kind of thing. You know, the Senate gets proof that UFOs are out there. Some senator wants to get it out. It becomes a race to get him silenced kind of thing.
Okay, see, that sounds amazing. Like, that sounds House of Cards level disclosure. Like, here's how they've kept it quiet.
Dahlia Lightwood writes in, yo, everyone. Yo, Dahlia Lightwood. Good to see you. Welcome. Oh, right. We're on that. I gotta set the...
Ever since I learned about I think it was Tarantino or whoever wrote Reservoir Dogs for writing the most conventional bank heist of the time that the FBI had to verify that like it was 100% for a movie. That has told me that like these, even though they are contrived and like I stand by everything I've said so far, but at the same time, some of them are capable of accurately depicting the nuance of the situation to the point that we can clearly see, oh, maybe we shouldn't support this secret organization.
Right. And I mean, I will also say this, right? Because, I mean, we're all writers here, right? I mean, sometimes when we encounter something kind of vaguely emotionally gripping or what have you, or something that's stuck in our head, we have to write a fictional account around that to kind of clear it from our own head. And it just so happens sometimes we get things right. You know, it just so happens sometimes, you know, we've played enough COD that we know how to line up, you know, the perfect ambush, you know, in a situation because we've tried it so many times in video games or what have you. It happens where sometimes art imitates life, imitating art.
Well, man, I mean, that's why they call it the art of war. And that's also like one of the things is if you read the art of war, it's the same as the art, like it's the same as every other art. You have to know everything about yourself and you have to seek self-improvement, but then you have to know your enemy better than yourself.
Yeah.
And in that essence, like that's it. It's the same repeat over and over. Like if your enemy is a product, you're trying to figure out how to develop a product, you create an enemy profile, you build everything. What is the target? What does it look like when it's done? All that stuff. Like it, there are so many people that have transcribed so many ancient texts that literally have nothing to do with the subject that they're talking about. Art of the deal.
Right.
And it works because a lot of the things still apply. And I think that's something to remember. It's like, it's not so much art imitating life, it's art teaching life experience. Yeah. And that's amazing. And that's what good film and that's a good writing and great writing can do. That's what Homer's Iliad truly did, is it showed the potential of any one man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dahlia Lightwood says lots of people like the new Captain America, but lots of people don't. I'll give it a chance and check the movie out. But yeah, I can see why some people weren't into it. It looks kind of cheeseball, and at this point, they're grasping at straws. It feels more like a movie made for a side character, not a big star. Also, it's super annoying that he mentions being a black man 3 times in the trailers, as if we're blind and can't see that he's black. I mean, the real question is, do they let those lines slip in the Chinese release? So, yeah, thank you for your contributions, Dahlia. We do appreciate it. And also, for us, when we do talk more about Captain America, we're contemplating whether or not we're going to go make an effort to see it and then talk about it on next week's show. But but we'll get to that. But yeah, it's interesting stuff with we'll see, I guess, if we'll see if this will be a movie that actually pans out or becomes something. But this one,
okay. I thought you guys would get a good laugh.
Yeah, we just dropped oh wait, 1 second. Sorry, Dahlia left another. Dahlia also says, I'm cool with diversity, but Thor doesn't walk around stating that he's white. Hulk doesn't go around about being green. I mean, man, how much funnier that would be if he did, though. And it's just pointless. It doesn't belong in a movie. It's just more of this ridiculous, last of the identity remnant.
Okay, but to be fair, there is one character who references their identity more than the new Captain America does. Groot. Wow. Chirp, chirp. Okay.
No.
All right. Well.
Yes, but yeah. No, that's pretty good.
All right. So getting back to this one, because I thought this story was just hilarious, and that you guys would have something to say about it. you want to put it up, Petey?
Yeah.
All right. So I think everybody on this channel and everyone we talk to, and given the way it cleaned up at the awards shows, everyone that's human really enjoyed the new Shogun. But apparently,
I think we might have. Did we enjoy the new Shogun?
Oh yes, yes, I did, very much so.
Don, did you enjoy the new Shogun?
I'm gonna be honest. This really sounds like these kids don't know how to make shows from a guy who didn't check the scoreboard.
Right.
But
So,
it's a sore loser mentality.
It 100% is. So the original 1980s miniseries director is calling out FX show as not entertaining for American audiences because he felt that the story needed to be far more Americanized for American audiences to be able to pick up on.
I mean, you know what? Now that you put it like that, the fact that there wasn't even a single McDonald's in Shogun just really shows how culturally out of touch the show was.
In Age of Sail Japan, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
The fact that
I clearly have been robbed of an opportunity here because he's right. It needs to be more Americanized. Like, why didn't Anjin get a 64-ounce diet soda at any point in this show? Like,
okay,
why did they not have that big feast scene at Taco Bell, right?
Exactly.
I'm actually gonna take back what I just said. I don't think this is sore loser. I think this is
clairvoyancy.
Education.
We need to pay attention to what this man says.
No, because if you check it out, like one of the things is Shogun ran through the awards, right? And we were 100% right when we called it. But on top of that, like this is kind of back to like, oh no, people wouldn't like seeing a girl orgasm, like type logic. Like according to everything he was taught in Japanese film school, this wouldn't make sense to Americans. And it's like, brother, I watch everything with the subtitles on, especially if it's in English. Mm-hmm. Like, I was 100% there. Like, I was actually going to be really frustrated if they did it in any English. But the way they tastefully did both and watched, like, as hard as it is to learn a language and as an adult, they actually demonstrated it. And I'm like, that was the most entertaining part. And that was just a small element of the entire series, like, that I'm still here for. And we called it at the jump. So, like, don't tell me it's not entertaining for audiences. It's just bad publicity in a time when, like, there's only been bad publicity lately. Like, it is hard to believe anybody.
Look,
and we don't have the audience to prove that if they had listened to us at the beginning, they would love this show. But I guarantee, just like with Severance, like season 2 of Severance, I don't know if you guys are noticing the reels and the TikToks and all of the posts about Severance and like dealing with it. Like we were talking about this last year.
Yeah.
Or almost 2 years ago. It was our opening show, actually. It might have been, is it 3 years ago when season 1 of Severance aired?
Yeah.
And we were on the ball and people are just now arriving. So like, I think we're more of a testament to American audience than this guy truly understands. I think that has a lot to do with like
not just American.
Hollywood audience can't read subtitles, but they also can't read.
I mean, would Shogun have been better with George Washington driving through the fields of battle in a Dodge Charger? Maybe. But
no, I honestly, Parker, like I think in this instance, it's more about like what he was taught to believe. Like if you want to produce something Japanese for Americans, you have to do it X, Y, and Z way, and it's probably hidden.
First of all,
if I may,
hold on, real quick. Guys. First of all, we need to address Proto Badgers in the room. Says Shogun was most epic. So there, we also have another opinion from one of our viewers.
I mean, even, like Badger Americans, liked this movie, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think I've got the paragraph that sums up this whole argument here that he's making. And it's he says it's completely different from what I did. London says about last year's version. Mine was based on the love story of Shogun between Blackthorn and Mariako, and this new one is based on Japanese history and is more about Toranaga, who was the shogun. It's very technical and very difficult for an American audience to get their grips into it. I've talked to many people that have watched it, and they said I had to turn it off because I don't understand it. So filmmakers of the new one really don't care about the American audience. And I personally, I have to question who is hanging out with this man.
Yeah.
And
what bubble are you living in?
Yeah, and maybe you need new friends.
No kidding.
I'm going to be honest. I stand by everything I just said again.
Yeah.
Like, of course his friends aren't going to get it. They read half the script before greenlighting it.
Are you
they
telling
don't read
me?
The whole thing.
Are you telling me that carrying over from the Tuesday Night Live show into the E2IP, Pollo Zapatos is still continuing on the tradition of agreeing with Pollo Zapatos?
Well, I can understand how Pollo Zapatos feels. I mean, if you feel you are the smartest, you have the smartest opinion in the room, you're going to agree with it, right?
All the time.
It's not an opinion when I speak to the objective truth. Like, yes, I am quantifying opinion, which is hard to do. But when you do it in relative terms, like, I'm not the elite. I have a ton of friends who watched Shogun and told me to get back on it when I was hours behind its release. Like, I'm not speaking from a high horse. I'm not even speaking from a podium. I'm speaking from a rented home.
Yeah.
I'm one of the people. I'm not even coming off as like arrogant at this point. Like, yes, I'm high-fiving myself, but that's mostly to get everybody to go back and watch our shows so that they can help our ratings.
That needs to be a t-shirt, by the way. Pollo high-fiving himself in the air. Like two of you.
And I mean,
oh no, dude, I'd high five a mirror before I high fived a clone.
There we go. That works too. That'd be an amazing shirt, though.
So I mean, part of me is sitting here kind of going like,
Proto Badger.
I do. Okay. If you are hanging around with people that cannot understand the show or what have you, I mean, I do get it, right? Like, part of me is sitting there going like, yes, if you are the kind of individual that only cares about, local, state, and your home country history, you probably don't understand how awesome the Warring States period in Japan was in terms of the amazing history that was playing out there. If you only care about human interest pieces and do not care about historical fiction, I could see why you might not be interested. But the truth of the matter is, since the 1980s or the 70s, I think it was really that it was designed in, audiences have changed pretty significantly. They've gotten exposure to other worldly sources. And I think there is a definite interest in historical fiction set in places that are not England, Europe, and the United States. I think there's room to do some really cool stuff. And I'm glad Shogun took the risk that it did. And I think it earned the proper rewards for it. It was huge. And I hope it continues to be.
Yeah. Proto Badger says, it was a tale on Japan, and if whiny babies wanted to be more American, then tell it in America. LMAO. I mean, that's the thing, though, is I think we already kind of... we sort of have an American version of... I don't want to say it's Shogun, but... I think Star Wars is about as Americanized of Japanese,
oh no, I've got a better one for you, my friend. The Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai.
Okay.
The Magnificent Seven is a cowboy version of Seven Samurai.
But the thing
and
is,
Seven Samurai is amazing.
Yeah, the thing is, I think if you can't enjoy because for me, the historical accuracy isn't like necessarily about, oh, you know, we're just telling this historical fiction because it's fun. It's also about immersing you into the world. Like, glad I'm camera off. It's not often that a show or piece of media like really sticks with me, you know, and haunts me. But that first episode with that dude being boiled alive still creeps into my sleep from time to time. And it's like, that's how immersive the history, like I was just waiting for my own head to get chopped off at any moment in this show because you had no idea what was like when we talked about it on like this is great. This article has us talking about Shogun again. It's just I think he's wrong.
It's a phantom.
I want to know who this guy is.
So this was the original creator of the 1980s
no, I mean, like, what's his name?
Oh,
Jerry
London.
Oh, that's why he's a white dude. He tried for. Honestly, dude, this is like.
You assume his name is Jerry London. He's a white dude.
I said sore loser, dude. I mean, come off it. This show was everything Parker just said is exactly how I feel about this show. And like,
this is Jerry London right here for the record.
White enough.
Yeah.
He's
like, I lived in Japan. I did not ever care to watch Jerry London's version of Shogun to learn about Japan.
You also weren't.
I watched Shogun way after I left, and it makes me yearn for the island.
Right?
Like, I love that country. I love their climate. I also love the water. So, like, for me to watch that show is like, oh my God, that's why I love it. It's so beautiful all the time. And the crazy thing, it's that green still in a lot of places.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even like they're doing like the old, like, this is what it looked like before they had industrialization and fair. Maybe not every hillside is that like robust, but there are very, very many hillsides that are denser than that.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Also,
fun place to go.
Yeah.
Which the show that I watched actually, you know, depicted. It looks like his was a shitty Japanese Hercules.
Right. And Dahlia Lightwood says, I'm personally not that into historical fiction because most of the time it's not really historical and it's changed for Hollywood. Yeah, that was not the case with the 2024 Shogun series at all. It was just
no, dude. It was what Peter Jackson did to the trilogy that is the Lord of the Rings. This guy did to book one of the trilogy that is Shogun. Like, I mean, translated hand to film. We even had somebody who read the series tell us how close it was.
And I mean, admittedly, yes, you could make some nitpicking arguments like they were speaking modern Japanese as opposed to classical Japanese and pieces like that. But they made it reasonably approachable. And the truth of the matter is, this is what I look for in historical fiction. This is really it. If it inspires somebody, not even necessarily you, but somebody like you, to go, I want to find out the actual history of what happened in that period of time, that is cool as hell. And I think that is something that this kind of work can do, and I think is wonderful if it does.
Dude, that is the minimum goal to achieve like a C- in good writing.
Yeah.
And I think what Shogun did to display what A+ writing is they actually, like, when I say lifted the story from page to film, like, they took the main themes that they wanted you to understand and rearranged it so that like by reading, like seeing things too early, you wouldn't be rushed to understanding things that needed time to be paced out. And it was so well done that like even the country of Japan got showcased for the beauty that it is, regardless of any of the words spoken throughout the entirety of the film. You could watch it muted, no subtitles, and all you would see is beautiful Japan and one guy getting boiled alive.
Well, and a couple of guys getting whizzed on, but anyway.
Yeah, whizzed on, heads lopped off, whatever. Anyway, just another day in feudal Japan. Dahlia Lightwood says, I really miss new creative and original ideas that weren't remakes or reboots of something else.
Right?
You know what? I would actually argue that this is one of the rare times where I feel like this was a good way to do it.
Well, that's
because okay, well, hold on. I feel that if you're going to remake something that was made bad and make it better, as opposed to making something that was already pretty solid and making it worse.
Shout out to Aragon.
Right?
Still dying for that one. Dude, that was one of the biggest books my dyslexic ass finished. And to watch the movie and cry that like 99% of the coolest, like just in general game mechanics, RPG mechanics that could have been showcased for future Unreal 5. Again, shout out Aragon if somebody wants to develop it into a game. The book has all of the mechanics in it. Like, fix what's broken. Stop trying to ride the golden goose. They're all starved to death. See current downward trends.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
This, in my opinion, was a movie series that desperately needed a remake, and I'm glad it got it.
Yeah. It proves our point 100%.
Yeah. I mean, the only one that I can think of, the only movie I can think of that needs a remake more is The Conqueror, the John Wayne as Genghis Khan movie.
Dude, any Genghis Khan movie would be better than that. It doesn't even need to be a remake. Just write any Genghis Khan movie. You can write him as a supporting villain of some kind, and it's better than John Wayne as Genghis Khan. Are you kidding me?
It is hilarious to watch, though, and it is the movie that killed the Duke, so there is that too, right?
Blame the movie, blame the lifestyle. I mean, also he died doing what he loved.
True.
It's the best way to go out.
All right. So, shall we move on? Justin Chon and Elijah Bonham teaming on a sci-fi film Capsule for 20th Century Studios. So, these guys are in talks to direct Capsule, which is going to be a new sci-fi film for 20th Century Studios. The film's current draft is by Elijah. He did Magazine Dreams fame, and it follows a young tech entrepreneur whose life is turned upside down when he mysteriously begins to receive metallic capsules containing messages from his future self. Right? Hutch Parker will produce for Hutch Parker Entertainment alongside John Zaloni after bringing the original spec from Iron Shore to 20th Century Fox in 2013. So, Dahlia Lightwood was asking for new. Dahlia, I deliver. Okay, this is a new series. Or a new movie. It's similar pieces have been done before, but the answer is, what if you got messages from the future telling you exactly what you need to do to succeed? Would you actually follow it without necessarily knowing where that's going to lead you?
Dahlia's very happy.
Well, then I am glad I have made Dahlia's evening, because that is what I do. I live to serve. But yeah, guys, so what do you think? It has a very indie feel with the people involved, right? These are the a younger, hungrier kind of production. I don't suspect it's going to have more than a $40 million budget max. So that means it's going to be a lean, hungry production. Honestly, it kind of has everything we like about new sci-fi properties, where things have got to get done on the cheap, so you got to tell a good story. You know, it's something new, it's something different, it's asking interesting questions. You know, it's set to hit March 21st, so it's not going to be that long from now. I think this one might be worth checking out. What do you guys think?
Yeah, what's it called again?
Capsule.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely one we could keep an eye on. Probably do a review on this show for, because there's no reason we can't still review, you know, current movies from time to time. I mean, we are still contemplating Captain America, right?
That's it.
I guess we haven't decided yet, but probably decide that when we talk about the article. Yeah. But honestly, yeah, no, I'm down. This sounds like a cool premise, and it definitely sounds like well, as Dahlia was asking for, we need something new.
Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, let it never be said I don't give the ladies what they like. So yeah, I think this has potential. I want to see more from it. I'm hoping for a trailer in the next couple of days. And if we get a trailer, I say we review it.
Yeah, definitely. So, John, any thoughts, or are you just...
Sorry. In a step. No. I don't care about Capsule so much anymore. We got Fallout, we got Silo, we got Severance, which is a different version of Capsule. If it's funny, I'm down, but like, it better be a Capsule about like superhero drugs.
It's about like, getting messages from the future that tell you how to succeed. It's kind of like Peripheral.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Peripheral.
Yeah, that okay. Had the potential to be
okay. Cool. I don't know. There's like there's a point of it where it's like who's sending the messages, and to succeed to do what. So I'm reading this really fun book that made that theory a lot scarier to me lately, and so I've been like meditating on it, and I think it is so fun now. So actually, I take back what I said. I think it could be really fun.
Yeah. Okay. So something we'll keep an eye on in the next little bit. Shall we move on, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been covering the loadout of actors for The Odyssey, because this one's going to be a huge frigging epic. Honestly, I've never seen The Odyssey done well ever, and the times people have attempted, they've omitted huge swaths of the book.
Honestly, I think the only time we came close was the Simpsons adaptation, and you know that was, you know, a parody making fun of the story, a paraphrasing. So, you know, it seems in the comedy adaptations of the story we get it pretty good. But yeah, I don't think there's ever been anything quite as good as just the original text.
And you know what? The truth of the matter is, if you were going to pick a director to do an epic like this, Christopher Nolan is a damn good choice.
Yeah, no, there's nobody else that like this. Yeah. I'm very excited for this movie. I mean,
given his love of realism and practical effects, I half expect all these dudes to be stuck in a boat for a couple of weeks.
Dude, this is gonna be this is his Lord of the Rings like audition tape, basically. Like I almost
audition, dude. This is
where the Lord of the Rings.
This was Homer's magnum opus, and I mean, dude, look what he did with Batman. Like, he rewrote the narrative on the potential for Batman's dilemma in the most destructive way for all of the future ever. Like they made Joker into an anti-hero.
Yeah.
That's how like amazing this guy is as a director. He took a superhero that's supposed to be for kids and existentially destroyed modern media.
Right.
And so for him to take on the Odyssey, like I don't even think this is his magnum opus. Like I think this is his next premiere. And in most cases, I would say that's trivial. But for him, this is like, for me personally, I'm a huge Nolan family fan. I love his brother's writing. Like Person of Interest, still one of my top 10 favorite TV shows. So like for him to be taking on the Odyssey, like I'm excited. This is what James Cameron wished the Avatar would be. Well, in terms of how I feel about it. Like this is what he would have wished it would invoke.
So Michael Vallums and Ido Goldberg. Michael's from Roswell, New Mexico fame, and Ido is from Snowpiercer fame. With Matt Damon to star as Odysseus, which I find hilarious because this now marks yet another movie where Matt Damon gets lost trying to get home. Which I'm wondering if he's now being typecast, because I think this is now marking the 6th or 7th movie where Matt Damon is lost and people are trying desperately to find him.
Odysseus.
So I don't know though. I think this has a lot of potential from what I have been hearing, that I can't quite say where I've been hearing it from just yet. It sounds like they're going to lean heavily on practical, like practical effects. And it sounds like they're doing their best to cast individuals that look like they could have been Greeks from that period in time. Because you got to remember, Greece at that time was fairly, like, there was a lot of white people in terms of Greeks, but what a Greek looked like at that time was very, very much a mix of a lot of different groups at that point in history. Yeah. So this could be rather interesting, and it could be very good.
Yeah, no, we all saw Oppenheimer. We've seen The Dark Knight. We've seen Interstellar. We've seen, hell, John and I went to go see Inception.
Yeah.
In the theater the day it came out. So it's a hell of a film.
Yeah, and he did that Ford versus Ferrari one as well, I think.
No.
Okay, am I thinking of a different one? Okay.
But Ford versus Ferrari, now that is a badass movie. But anyway, we'll have to review that some more time.
No, Matt Damon wasn't. He was the Ferrari driver.
Yeah.
But that movie had nothing to do with the drivers.
Nolan
didn't direct it.
Damon was there. Damon and Pitt.
Yeah. I knew there was a connection, but oh well.
Yeah, no, Batman and Odysseus were in that movie. Anyway.
Wait, was it Martian?
The Martian was Matt Damon.
But was that Nolan?
No.
That was Ridley Scott.
Oh, then that's probably how they know each other. Ridley Scott is a man of the world, and especially in the sci-fi community.
Oh, yeah.
Which, it's funny because I do think of Odysseus and Odyssey as sci-fi, but that's mostly because I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now.
Well, actually, funny that you mentioned that. There is a sci-fi animated series based on the Odyssey called Ulysses. I think it's Ulysses 2020 or something stupid like that. And it is a sci-fi retelling of the Odyssey. So it does exist. Yeah. All right, moving on. All right, we shall turn our eye towards Marvel.
Yay!
Captain America Brave New World smashes its way to number 1 in the US, but was technically number 2 worldwide. So, the 4-day total for Captain America Brave New World is 192.4 million, which is about what analysts were saying it should do based on current trends. So it's meeting expectations, right? The movie that beat it technically is a Chinese movie, Ne Zha 2. Ne Zha being like the Chinese Lord of the Rings, basically. And it made 279.6 million in China alone.
Hold on, we got a Chinese Lord of the Rings that we now need to consider reviewing?
Well, it's like the Chinese mythology's version of Lord of the Rings. It's got like crazy mermaid ocean battles and
go on
water spirits and hurricane demons.
Okay,
like you name it.
I'm liking the. Hold on. I'm liking this more and more. This sounds like something that we should totally try to pick up.
It's okay. I am going to be honest with you. I tried to get through it. I had challenges because keeping an eye on the action and reading the subtitles to figure out exactly what was going on is a little daunting with this one. But if you want to give it a shot, I'm willing to give it a shot with you guys.
We'll table the discussion. We'll bring it back next week. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. The way you're describing it, it sounds awesome, but now you said it's painful, so I don't know.
It's really hard. I'm not going to lie, right? So, Brave New World has been getting some mixed reviews. Some people are saying it's really good. Some people are saying it isn't. I personally think it has a lot to do with how you feel about, Falcon taking over as Captain America. If you were not a fan of that, I don't know if you're going to like this. If you, however, have no problem with it, you're probably going to enjoy this one a great deal.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Disney Plus.
Oh, can't be bothered to make it to the theater?
No, I do not support movies I don't support. Like, I get that the general public went back to this, but like, I have been so disenfranchised. Like, what everybody felt with Star Wars, I actually feel with Marvel because I wasn't as attached. I love Marvel Rivals, and I do not think Disney took any of their advice.
I mean, I'm willing to watch it and do a review of it.
Yeah,
I feel like, now this is me personally, right? I feel like there is the possibility that the movie is good despite my feelings about what they did with Captain America. So I'm willing to give it a shot. But I mean, it's only because there's such a mix of reviews on it that it's really hard to say whether it's worthwhile or not.
Well, if John's feeling the D+, you don't seem totally sure.
Well, like, I'm on the fence, right? Like, I'm willing to review it because I am on the fence. If I already knew this was good going in, I probably wouldn't bother with a review.
Right, that's just it. I wasn't even hyped to begin with. So that's why I'm like, I'm only interested in picking up on it because there might be hype to ride out. And, we could get reviews and viewers. Oops, I said that out loud. Oh, well.
Yeah, like, let's be straight up about
it. Like, I'm all for jerking off the algorithm, but I'm not wasting my money on jerking off the algorithm. If we were getting funded by subs,
well, there you go.
Well,
I would spend their money because that's me doing exactly what they paid me to do: review new content. But nobody's
wait a minute. Can't you guys write off the tickets as a business expense down there?
When we have a formalized LLC,
Okay.
Formalize the business, and then we have to decide which area is the cheapest to run it in for now, and then once we go corporate, make sure we incorporate in Delaware so that we can avoid the majority of federal and income taxes on business.
Oh yeah, that reminds us, Corian, we're gonna have you move to Delaware.
No,
not permanently. The nice thing about Delaware is they sell / rent office space that you can claim to run your entire company out of. But if you go to see the size of the office space, you couldn't fit a person in there.
Well, and I mean, I might be down for that, but there's no way you guys could. Yeah,
devious and dirty and corrupt, and nobody's paying their fair share just by living lavishly in every community that they destroy.
I mean, look, you couldn't convince me to move down to the States no matter how much you paid me at this point. But
fair.
You know, incorporating a company down there and setting up a business closet, you know, that might be like a business broom closet. That might be something I'd consider.
Yeah. All right, let's catch up on the fan mail. Dahlia Lightwood says, loved Ahsoka, but Acolyte was meh. Marvel stuff has been meh ever since Endgame. 100% agree. And even Endgame was meh. They just can't seem to do anything impressive lately. I'm willing to give Marvel another chance, but honestly, I feel like the franchise is coming to an end of its lifespan. I think it hit its end of its lifespan after, like, Loki. They've already done all they can do with their existing characters to the point where there isn't any story left. Now they're making movies about side characters. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
You know, I think we can come late to the party. That will be our new future segment when I actually come up with some decent graphics for this show. That'll be the new thing, is late to the party.
I mean, there have been the odd movie out there that turned, like Marvel movie, that has turned out to actually be fairly decent post Endgame or show. You know, or at least bits and pieces that I can point to and say, hey, they had a small concept here that didn't turn out to be terrible. But, you know, that's kind of it. And there is a couple of hills that I will die on and say that, no, it was a good movie. Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm willing to fight anyone on Doctor Strange 2 being a good movie.
Yeah. Proto Badger says, I think Endgame was too soon to do, and I was not happy with it as well, as they need more time to build up the other heroes. Yeah, it was like with Infinity War, we had Thanos built up and hyped up, and then when he shows up, he's steamrolling like he is just unstoppable the whole time in the movie. And then he actually completes his mission. Spoiler alert. It's just, yeah, they shouldn't have. They jumped 5 years ahead, and then they do this whole weird timeline thing. So Thanos still wins. Their Thanos does. Then they end up fighting a Thanos with a disposable army from another universe. Oh my god. It sounds so dumb when I say it out loud sometimes.
Honestly, that's my problem with this. It's whereas Fantastic Four looks like a pure return to form. Yeah. Brave New World looks like a maintaining the disrespect. And like, I get that the executives want fast cash as fast as possible, because to them, the only thing that matters is shareholder earnings. But that is not how the entertainment industry has literally ever worked in the history of ever.
Yeah.
Like, you have to actually produce good quality content year over year or year over 10 years. Like, if you hit a ballpark, like home run every 10 years, we generally tend to respect you and call you a go, even if you write 20 flops in between. Yeah. But like what Disney has done is seemingly killed 7 different Grand Slam series in less than 5 years. Like, if they are not the best depiction of what a monopoly does to the consumer, I don't know what is, because like we have gotten slop over slop and called the worst terms possible by the writers of the slop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you still like pedal it out to 2025. Like, clearly the vote is in. We're against that trash. I don't understand how you thought you could get away with it just to hit your market.
Dahlia Lightwood says, Star Wars is a huge universe with tons of planets and characters to explore. Marvel kind of wrote itself into a corner with Endgame to the point where they shot themselves in the foot. Yeah, Endgame was like premature ejaculation, lol. Yes, it was a great movie, but they kind of blew their whole wad to the point where they can't write anything better. I completely agree with that. Like, that's... and it wasn't even... It's like, what about Star Wars makes it so incredible, you know, the original trilogy? Well, it's because we get both sides of the story, and we see the struggle firsthand, and we know what our enemy is, and we know who the enemy is, and so we get to the point where we build up these big battles, but we know what the stakes are. When it comes to Endgame, it's, oh, we got to get the good guys all back, but we got to get the Infinity Stones from other universe or other timelines, and then we also got to kill off Tony Stark, but then bring him back as a bad guy in a later Avengers movie.
Let's not deprecate what was like Endgame and Infinity War. Like, tearjerker. Like what I said about Nolan, he did for Batman, like Infinity War did for Marvel. Like, Marvel became what it is, like a global sensation. Like, it was a measly comic book that Stan Lee vested his entire life into. And look what it became. And like, yeah, the Thanos story is a little bit convoluted in terms of comic book bad guys, but like, it stands the test of all of the comic book bad guys before him. Like, nobody was more powerful or more present or more domineering. The story was a finale in every sense of the word. Don't shit on last year's fireworks show just because this year sucked too. But at the same time, like, that's why I'm not going to see Brave New World, is because what Thanos demonstrated was you could do 10, 15 different movies about build-ups. Let the waves roar. 10 or 15 movies. That's 15 years.
Yeah.
Of continuous content. Yeah, you see a major plummet at the start because it wasn't Infinity War, but the diehards are back and they're rallying. They're like, dude, did you see the CGI? It's better than anything we've ever seen. Yeah, sure, it was only in one neighborhood, but I'm here for it. Next movie comes out. Oh shit, the city. Next movie, the state. Oh shit, the nation. Like, that's progression, which is what they keep skipping. And it shouldn't take a dude from BF Idaho to tell you that. That should have been, watch any of the movies in a row after Infinity War and see what a flop it is, including whatever Miss Marvel was. Like, she is literally the... If we're playing Minesweeper, she was the mine in the middle of the round that led to a complete nervous overload, and you destroyed your almost perfect high score. It's pretty sad.
All right. Shall we move on?
Next.
Okay. So, Cameron Pasha, who is a lovely friend of the channel, heard from his Marvel insider this time, codenamed Phoenix. And they reach out very rarely, but when they do, we get ready for some interesting stuff. So what Phoenix brought this time was not just who they're casting for the X-Men movie, but how they're casting for the X-Men movie. And that's an interesting piece, because we got Julia Butters, who was, she appeared in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and The Fabelmans. She's going to be playing Kitty Pryde. Kind of cool. I like Shadowcat. Sadie Sink, who appeared in Stranger Things as the Whale, is being offered the role of Jean Grey. Harris Dickinson, who starred in Baby Girl opposite Nicole Kidman, is being offered the role of Cyclops. But here's the interesting part. Marvel is making all these offers contingent on the actors passing a rigorous background check and psychological evaluation. Any red flags suggesting that they might be bad PR to the X-Men franchise will cause the studio to rescind the job. Apparently, they're doing this because of Jonathan Majors, who was going to play Kang, and then wound up in a very messy, very public harassment and assault suit against his ex-girlfriend. So, and they had to rewrite huge swaths of their plans going forward because of that. So now everybody
originally it was going to be the Kang Dynasty, but now it's Secret Wars with RDJ coming back as Dr. Von Doom.
Right. So the fact that they're going to this length, I think also speaks a lot to the problems DC had with its latest version of The Flash, where the guy has been very, very odd. Or the them, I think it is, has been very, very odd. The guy who got to play Barry Allen. So this is kind of interesting that they're going to this level of no. We're going through all your social media accounts. We're going to have you talk to psychologists and make sure you're not going to flip out and do something stupid to us and screw up our project.
We're going to vet the candidates for our major multi-million-dollar franchise.
Yeah, they're actually doing vetting and like oppositional research and stuff.
I'm going to be so honest. I legitimately thought, because of all the movies about mental health, the people paying for movies about mental health would have, been the ones actually paying for mental health of their employees. Shareholder interest, I guess. It's more important than mental health. Until now.
Right.
Now it is shareholder interest. It's weird. It's like, if you don't pay for it in the front line, now you have to pay for it with the new guys. And it's harder because you didn't think about it before it became a catastrophic problem.
Dahlia Lightwood says, good, maybe actors will stop saying stupid things. I wouldn't count on it, but maybe. Proto Badger also wrote in earlier, says, if the writers did better, they can get the earnings, but first keep a line of a game plan, not this mixed bag of crap we got. They have to build up like the classics.
Dude, and they even have a streamer where they could do half of the build up on TV shows before they broadcast their first movie. And then it's like, we naturally curated an audience. There was this old thing back in the day they used to do that, where like they would issue comics in order and then they would add them to the super squad of already classic heroes. They wouldn't just, here's Wonder Perfect Girl from Mary Sueville again. How many
times do we have to do Mary Sue's?
Them as a human being?
How many
times? That was Stanley's #1 rule. I don't care so much about the hero and their powers. I care about their alter ego being a relatable human being.
How many times do we have to do the super powerful Mary Sue until you finally accept them as your favorite character?
Yeah. It's like, why won't you love this? Why won't you love my self-insert character, right?
It's not even a self-insert character. It is like, I don't know if you guys remember the show, the college one with the really tall comedian. I cannot remember his name or the show's name. It's the Community.
Okay.
And it is literally the mascot where he continues to degender and de-describe their mascot into this amorphous blob that is also a Mary Sue. Like, you've made pandering to women even seem not pandering to women. Like, you're literally pandering to an imaginary thing that you call the general audience, just like the principle of Community.
Yeah. You eventually keep applying the lowest common denominator until it doesn't match up to anything you're doing.
And never in the history of any marketing school, in any textbook that I've read, has it ever said, try to hit every single household at once at the same time.
Right.
Yet somehow that is what all of these new characters are trying to do. None of them can be Vin Diesel from Fast and Furious. Like, he made being a criminal for your family kind of cool while also still not okay. When they inserted Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as his main like counterpart, but then somehow Dwayne joined the CIA and now he's willing to cross the legal lines again. It's a very interesting story. I'm here for it. Ready for Fast 35.
Mm-hmm.
Fast 99.
35 miles an hour. They're stuck in the middle.
Fast 99. The EV.
I'm waiting for Fast to the Future when they merge the Back to the Future and Fast and the Furious.
Your doc goes up. Vin, your family.
That's it. All right. So we're now going to go to D&D.
Gotta make Back to the Future 4 for family. I know that sounded like Stallone, but sorry.
All
sorry.
Right.
Let me do my Vin Diesel. I can do it better.
Plays Doc.
Family. Groot.
All right.
Vin Diesel was Groot.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait. Sorry, we can't go to this yet. Fan mail.
Okay.
Idiot. I are dumb. Rachel Zegler single-handedly ruined Snow White with her foolish behavior. She had no media she just, during the strikes and everything, she was, same with the dude from Captain America. A few weeks before his movie came out, he was saying some stupid crap and the media tanked his own. Yep. That's part of the reason why people don't want to go see it, is because Mackie wants to make it about politics again.
Wait, guys, didn't we see the same thing happen in the 2000s during the Bush era with the football, like NFL and baseball leagues? It is literally, it's not even history repeating. It's markets not learning from their predecessors / ancillaries. Like, you may not be the NFL, but their problems will be yours if you do not address the issues in your own house.
Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, even Daisy Ridley did it recently and was babbling on about how the next Star Wars will be political, and yeah, it's already doomed. It's the last thing people want in movies. So honestly, like, Mando and Grogu is kind of my I don't know.
It's how it should be done.
Andor season 2 coming, and Andor was good.
I've been told Andor season 2 is going to be pretty good too.
That's what its list sounds like. So I don't know. I might actually be hyped up for Mando and Grogu by the time we get there. But
Okay.
We'll see. We will see. Star Wars is essentially, I mean, it's been on life support for a while. Like, and the other problem is we have idiots in the fandom that are still clamoring. They think, oh, Acolyte deserves a season 2. And it's like, I really don't know.
I don't know what they watched, but the Acolyte I watched does not.
No.
I saw somebody found this like article. It's very like Inside Hollywood, but like they actually counted the number of watch minutes total. And like they narrowed the exact, like Purdue Pharma proving that Oxy is an addictive level, like statistic manipulation to show that like somehow it was better than The Mandalorian, but like they compared it to The Mandalorian's like worst debut, which also was its oddly least marketed debut.
Right? Okay.
All right.
So,
moving back.
Nerd time? Okay. So now that we're going full nerd here. Dungeons and Dragons is putting out a 2024 update to the game. Something that I actually railed about in previous rants. One of the staples, there are 3 kind of books that make up the core books you need to really run a game of Dungeons and Dragons. The Player's Handbook, which is how players create their characters. The Dungeon Master's Guide, which is how to run the game. And then the Monsters Manual, which is sample monsters that you can put into any campaign to have your heroes fight against. Since Dungeons and Dragons has first launched, orcs have appeared in the Monsters Manual. They're a staple bad guy. When you need when you need to throw your heroes against the dozen of something, orcs are your go-to thing. Right? They're the I don't know. They're the bologna sandwich of bad guys, if you will, right? Well, they're no longer in the Monsters Manual. They have been removed because supposedly of their racist or potentially racist connotations. Also removed are dark elves, or the underground evil elves. The deep or evil dwarves, and the deep or evil gnomes. They're doing this, of course, because all of these are supposedly stereotypes for different groups, and they've added orcs as a hero playable race only. So they now appear in the Player's Manual as a race your hero can play, but as nothing else. And they didn't give the orcs as a functional set of stat blocks, because by saying that orcs are naturally stronger than humans but a little dumber would also be racist. So everybody gets the same stats now. Yeah.
What's the point?
Yep. That's exactly the argument that a lot of us are making.
I'm going to be honest. Part of me feels like there was a petition to make orcs a character because, like, some good fanfic about orcs being more than orcish. Which, this is where
orcs have been a playable race for
wait.
2 or 3 books now.
This is where I, as a unpaid, unaccomplished writer, would say, I don't know, write that into existence. Make it so that an orcish clan falls off and becomes worthy of reverence. Like all of the other characters have had to do 4 years. Like, say what you will about it being quote unquote easy for any particular race. If you listen to their race's history, it is packed with war and heroic deeds and heroes worthy of reverence.
Yep.
That's the difference. So far, there's never been an orc worthy of reverence. You're bad. Fix that. Like, that's a new challenge to overcome, not something to gerrymander in and say, here you go, we fixed it.
Yeah. So
Like, that's
we are
weak
now
and cheap.
on. Yeah, so we are now on the second run through of 5th edition. So really, it's kind of a 6th edition. And orcs have been a hero race since the 3rd edition Player's Handbook, but they were also in the Monsters Manual, just like humans, just like dwarves, just like everybody else. They had stat blocks as good guys and bad guys. Now, orcs are only being treated as good guys. Dark elves have been completely removed from the game because the concept of a black elf being an evil creature is apparently not allowed anymore. The deep dwarves, which were kind of stone gray evil dwarves, are apparently not allowed as well.
I don't know how many black people were playing D&D, and that's not me being racist. It's I've never looked up the statistics of who plays D&D. Why would I ever look that up?
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest, the only people you were hurting were nobody. Like, whoever asked you to do that was just an idiot trying to add something. Like, it's the equivalent of cutting operation costs just to reach shareholder interest. But for some reason, it was cultural holder interest that was losing money and still is, hand over fist, year over year. There are no marketed ROIs. Name one, and I will, I don't know, laugh at you for finding the only possible one that's actually still not contributing to any significant return on investment. That's the main goal of any change to marketing, advertising, and general product. Like, why do you change the general product unless there's marketed ROI?
Yeah.
Which
so no, they've
trading
really
is
kind
not
of
marketed ROI.
Yeah.
Take their
Now-
investment. They invested in you. Don't do what they ask. Laugh at them. Be like, no, sorry, you don't own the company. You're bad for thinking your money was good enough to buy my opinion and ruin my product. Oops.
Yeah. Now, the other part of this that actually causes a fair bit of a problem is not just the orc side of things, but it's the dark elf side of things, because one of the Forgotten Realms' most famous characters is a dark elf who comes from these evil elves, but he is like one of the very, very few lone good ones in the world. And he escapes his evil society, goes to the surface, and becomes a hero in his own right. And how are they going to tell that story now without dark elves being bad guys?
Right? So there was this ominous force from Top Gun Maverick.
Right?
That had created a mythical weapon that made you so scared you had to buy more D&D media to find out who they are, because we haven't defined them yet.
Yeah, that's about it.
We just got
right?
free 40 years of teasing.
Yeah. So that's ultimately what's going on there. There's a huge backlash right now. People are quite upset about it. And we'll see if they continue to keep screwing over their own fan base like this for the foreseeable future. Gentlemen, any comments?
No.
Bro, here's my one comment. Go meet your audience.
Yeah, okay.
Like, actually introduce yourself. You, the executive that is making these executively bad decisions. And I'm not talking subjective opinion here. I'm talking objective market analysis. These were the wrong choices. And they are easily the most asinine to justify.
Yep. Now,
you could literally just say sorry and change everything back. Nothing extra. And we would go, God,
thanks. Right. All right. Moving on to actually further D&D news, because I've got one more here. You remember Sean Levy, the guy who was supposedly attached to the Star Wars Rey movie that never actually got made? Well, being attached to a Star Wars movie that never actually got made him popular enough that he is getting an opportunity to develop a Forgotten Realms live-action Dungeons and Dragons show at Netflix. And it's being produced by the guys who made Stranger Things, so it's actually got some legs to it. But ultimately, what this just proves is, in Hollywood, you can lie your way to a multi-million-dollar project.
No. You can let somebody else lie about you being a part of a project and use it on your resume to get you onto a multi-million-dollar project that's actually real. Like, if you don't deny, if somebody goes, no, we actually in talks with such and such, and you go, on an email, but you never say anything out loud, right?
Yeah.
And then, another company's like, hey, I mean, if Disney says you're so much worth it, like, are you really like attached to that? Because we could really use you for anything. You're like, yeah, run, take it, dude. And that is what you do as a go-getter. Take the job that actually is fruitful and pays. Don't let anybody's ego justify you living in the gutter. I know how expensive Hollywood is.
And to be honest, this makes me so mad that this guy's getting the show. Like, he is literally being rewarded for being part of a shell game. And that ticks me off so much. Dude, and on top of that too, like, Netflix getting access to the Dungeons and Dragons franchise, given what they've done to The Witcher and everything, ticks me so off. And you know what makes it worse? You know what really pisses me off? What? And it makes me so goddamn mad. It's Forgotten Realms, so I'll probably watch the damn thing.
Dude, and this is the best part though. If he listens to the show, he'll know what to do. Like, yeah, like, literally, dude, 100%. Just write a good show. You can literally do any of that's the fun, most interesting part about Dungeons and Dragons. You can write the characters exactly according to what was the rule book that they changed the orcs?
The Monsters Manual? Yeah.
No, which year?
Oh, edition? The 2024, 5th edition, 2024 edition.
Okay, so any edition before that, you play Dungeons and Dragons, The Forsworn.
No.
Play it to write this story.
It's actually really not hard.
That, and you have your artists actually draw it, and you, as a competent enough director, actually direct the game as it's rolled out. And as you draw your characters, that's the fun thing. You can have all your gay and lesbian characters in every edition before that. All we ask is that you keep all of the enemy types in the story prevalent. And if you do that and you read this story and you play this game mastered game,
and I'm going to be honest with you,
2, 3, 4, 5,000. Like, that's all we ask. We don't ask you to now deliver exactly what we expect your kind to deliver. You don't have to be the corporate sellout we expect you to be, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Like, look, Sean, and I know you're watching the show, because why wouldn't you be? Sean, there is a book series called the Harper series. It's a series of 16 books. It's an anthology series that follows around various groups of heroes throughout the Forgotten Realms series. The best way I can explain the Harpers is, if you've watched any of the Marvel movies, they're basically S.H.I.E.L.D. So do that anthology series. That's all you have to do. Do like 3 episodes a book. That's all you really need. And just hammer through it. You've got enough stuff for at least 4 seasons minimum, before you have to target anything else. Plenty of stuff. Netflix is only going to give you 3 seasons anyway, because that's how Netflix is. Just go for
syndicate it. But do it. Do 3 seasons. Make that bread, because Netflix will pay you for the views, not the DEI, not the BS. They want the views. That's why they're actually mad about The Witcher. That's why they're trying to bring back other Witcher things, because like they're really stoked for the property, and they thought this is what we wanted. And that's their bad. But if you give us what we want, which all we ask is that at the very least you just visualize a D&D game set in that setting.
Yeah.
For 8 episodes, 8 days of game.
Yeah.
Written by a competent game master. That's it. You can put any narrative in between, just like any game master does, but as long as it is according to the appropriate rule book that includes all of the necessary characters.
Okay,
let's
hear from Proto Badger though. Yeah.
Proto Badger says, if you do not know the stuff, leave it fracking alone.
Yeah,
I agree. All right.
Okay, so
that's just general.
Yeah. Okay, so do you guys have your checkbooks handy?
Sure.
So Diamond Comic Distributors, these are the guys that from the 70s till the 2020s really were the company that supplied all the comic book shops in North America and the UK are in Chapter 11. And they're selling off their assets. Up to and including some of their divisions.
Wow.
So they're done. They're gone now. They're going to die. It's going to be messy. But everything is up for sale. So if you wanted to become the guy who holds the contracts for the distribution of comic books in friggin' North America, it's for sale. Some rare book that they happen to have extra copies around lying around the office, it's for sale. That statue of Deadpool mooning people signed by Stan Lee, that's for sale.
Where?
It's all listed under the in the article, but basically there is an auction house that's going to be handling the sale of all of it.
On.
So,
well, that's no surprise. I mean, the comic book industry got shitty over the 2020s, and people like Eric July and other independents pretty much.
Yeah. So, and also Diamond was the company that ran Free Comic Book Day. And that now is up for sale.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
so
this is what I mean by what we're trying to say. The proof of just running off of year-over-year sales rather than actually maintaining and creating a functional product. Like, I'm not a comic book fan.
Yeah.
I don't like reading in general. I do I love listening to audiobooks. I love stories. I love movies and stuff, but I don't like reading. And comic books were a really cool bridge because they were visual, but really quickly I saw that they were worse than most like church media. They were always super clean. Cops are always good guys, right? And I am saying, like, I read the very early editions of very like early. I mean, comics.
Back in the day when
3 or 5 of them, but also like the anime was always Y7. Like, and there were legit. Like, I later found out as I grew up and studied this stuff, I found out that there was an actual rule book about being PC.
Yeah.
And that's what frustrates me is like all of those restrictions had been taken off when GTA showed up. Like GTA drew the new fictional line for how far any fictional media can go.
I would actually argue that it was Todd McFarlane's Spawn deciding not to obey the comic code authority that changed comic books. So that would have been early 90s when Todd McFarlane said, screw it.
And that's amazing. But here's the issue. Nobody bought in. And that's the number one issue is like, you literally named the comic book. Me, I can name the game series because I've seen every game since GTA and they have been fundamentally more graphic. Like, for those that don't remember, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 still had the do you want to see this mature content scene? GTA did not.
No. Now, that being said, do you want the Hammer of Thor? Because Gentle Giant Limited, who are the guys who made the replicas of those giant ass hammers of Thor, is up for sale too.
I love that. Dude, I wish. I don't have the money to, like, I wish this went on sale when I was actually rich. I'm just here to go, man, if only.
Right. Here's another one that's actually kind of very interesting that it's up for sale. The Collectible Grading Authority. These are the guys who grade comic books and cards for the quality so that they can be properly valued and assessed. That company potentially is the company that decides how much nerd stuff is worth. So that is a huge piece to be up on the chopping block, because the guy who controls that decides how much money nerds are allowed to have. Like, some of these are big deals. So I've put PD into the private chat. I put the link to where the auction is and how much and how it's set up for. It's going to happen on the 24th of March in New York, but apparently there's a way to online bid. So if you want to put it into the chat, we can do that.
There you go, for anyone who wants to bid. All right.
Last piece, I promise. Upcoming video game movies and TV shows for 2025, the release dates for it and beyond. Want to see what we're in for?
Sure.
All right. So video game movies in 2025. We are getting a Minecraft movie. We are getting Until Dawn. We are getting Mortal Kombat 2. We are getting Five Nights at Freddy's 2. We are getting a Street Fighter movie in 2026. We are getting another Super Mario Brothers movie. They are working on a Legend of Zelda, a Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Helldivers 2. The Sims are getting a movie. Gears of War are getting a movie. Return to Silent Hill, which will be a sequel to the Silent Hill movie. Death Stranding, Days Gone, Dredge, Uncharted 2. We're getting a Detective Pikachu 2. Stray is getting its own movie, which I'm actually kind of excited for.
Alrighty then.
BioShock is supposed to be getting a movie. Space Channel 5 and Comic Zone. For TV shows, we are getting Last of Us Season 2, unfortunately. We are getting Fallout Season 2. We are getting a Witcher Season 4 and 5, unfortunately. But here's something I thought you might find interesting, PD. We are getting a Mass Effect TV series.
Well, yeah, I should probably get around to playing that.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima anime, Devil May Cry anime, Twisted Metal Season 2, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, and we're getting more Castlevania Nocturne because I guess we decided not to, get that to go away. Now, here are some of the ones that they're currently kicking around that may get a movie in the next little while. Mega Man, which I think there've been some solid animes. I don't really see the need. Just Cause, I don't really see the need. Duke Nukem, I don't know how they could do it justice and have it not be rated hilariously R. Gravity Rush, Dead by Daylight, okay. It Takes Two, Slime Rancher is kind of an interesting one if they were going to do it as an anime. Pac-Man, we've already had a ton of them. Streets of Rage, Sniper Elite, Toe Jam and Earl, Jack and Dexter. We're going to get a Call of Duty series, apparently. We're getting a Half-Life movie, potentially, a Saints Row movie, Portal, Yakuza, Beyond Good and Evil, Firewatch, Metal Gear Solid, The Division, Just Dance, which I don't know what they're going to do with, Dragon's Lair, and the Splinter Cell movie is presumed canceled, unfortunately. There's talk of a Horizon Zero Dawn TV show, A Plague Tale, Nier Automania, Disco Elysium, Hunt Showdown, Alan Wake, System Shock, which could be very good if they do BioShock well. System Shock could be very good. Grounded, Life is Strange, My Friend Pedro, Skull and Bones, Child of Light, and Brothers in Arms. So, some potentially no Sea of Thieves yet.
Well,
so interesting list there. I'm personally looking forward to Helldivers 2, as I've been playing through the game, and it is a blast.
Yeah. All right, we want to thank our sponsors for tonight's show. That's going to be Proto Badger and Dahlia Lightwood. Thank you for your comments and interactions, as well as your likes and your shares. Honestly, guys, anything you can do to help get the word spread, it's always appreciated. Yeah, we're just going to keep cranking out these podcasts every week now, doing this pop culture info dump and discussion. And so, yeah, we'll be back next week for more. See you then.
Yeah.
This has been the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast.